Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Tonight I've set the telescope up at the bottom of the garden and I'm really excited because I'm going to go after one of the most iconic targets in the night sky, the pillars of creation in the Eagle Nebula. I've wanted to photograph the pillars of creation and the Eagle Nebula for quite some time now, and anyone who's seen that iconic image from the Hubble telescope will understand why. It's such an amazing target and just one that I really want to tick off my list. I was hoping to photograph it last year, but I just missed out. It's in a really awkward position for me and I don't get much time on it. And in a couple of months, I won't be able to photograph it. So I've probably got about a month, maybe 2 months max of a window to photograph this object. So I'm desperate not to miss out on it this year, and I'm gonna give it my best shot. Now really, I think I'm setting myself up for failure with this target, and I don't know how well the image is going to turn out, but I'm desperate to give it a go, so I'm going to try anyway. I'm gonna jump into the computer to show you why this is such a tricky target for me to photograph here from my garden. Okay, so I'm in Telescopius now and I found my target for tonight, which is M16 or the Eagle Nebula, which you can see here. And the first reason why it's going to be such a challenge for me to photograph is the fact that it doesn't get any higher than 25 degrees all night long. So the highest point it gets is 25 degrees. So I'm going to be shooting through a lot of atmosphere, which isn't something that I usually would like to do. And if it was any other target, I just don't think I would even attempt to photograph this object. But because it's such an iconic target, because it's one of those images that I really want to have in my my portfolio, I decided to give it a go. So 25 degrees around 9 o'clock, so that's too early to image. As I get to about 9:30, 9:45, when it's dark enough to image, you can see that it's just going to get lower and lower and lower. So that's the main reason why it's so tricky to actually photograph. Now, to show you what that looks like in relation to my garden, I use the Sky Guide app. So I put in the Eagle Nebula and use my the augmented reality feature to simulate where it's going to be. So as you can see, at around 9 o'clock, it just clears my house. So that's at the highest point, and then it gets lower and lower and lower. So I can start imaging around 9:30, and then by about 11:15, 20:11, it goes behind my neighbor's tree. So I'm not going to get a lot of time on this target. But one good thing about this target is that with my setup, so with the 1000mm telescope that I've got set up and the 2600 mono camera, which has an APS-C size sensor, I can fit the Eagle Nebula in frame really nicely. So it's going to be a challenge. I have a feeling I'm going to get to the end of this video and not really have an image or have a very bad image to show you, but I'm just going to give it a go because it's such an iconic target and I've seen so many great images online recently. I want to take my own. So wish me luck, and I'll show you how I get on when I'm back out in the garden setting up. Okay, so as you saw from that previous time lapse, it was far too cloudy to image the other night when I actually set up the telescope, and since then it's been about a week of cloud and rain, hence the double cover that I put over the top of my telescope. That extra week definitely hasn't helped things. It's just meant that the Eagle Nebula is slightly lower on the horizon, which gives me less time to photograph it. But tonight is forecast to be clear, so I'm going to try and capture the O3 data. Now, there is no moon tonight, so great night to capture O3 data. And then there's forecast cloud and rain tomorrow, and then there's forecast 2 clear nights at the end of the week. So fingers crossed, I I can get a few hours, maybe 3 maximum, on the Eagle Nebula and have something to show you at the end of the video. Like I've said a couple of times, I think like I'm just setting myself up for failure, and I don't think the image is going to be very good, but I'm desperate to give it a go. So I'm still going to persist. So now I'm just going to polar align. I'm actually going to focus on the on Polaris, because what I found before when shooting so low to the horizon when I photographed Thor's helmet is that the EAF on the ZWO EAF on my telescope really struggled to get a good focus when I was shooting that low to the horizon. I don't know whether it was shooting all through the atmosphere, but I'm going to polar align, and then I'm going to focus on Polaris with the oxygen filter, and then I'm going to slew over to just below my house, or just to the right of the roof of my house, and start capturing some images. So wish me luck. I'll set a time lapse once I'm going, and hopefully I can capture some images. Okay, so I've polar aligned and I focused the telescope on Polaris, and that all went according to plan. And I've slewed to my target, and as you can see, the telescope is very low to the horizon, and it is just past the house. So it's just past the eaves of the house. All looks good in the preview. I can see the pillars of creation, I can see the Eagle Nebula, so I'm just about to start capturing my O3 data. Go for 5-minute subs, gain's going to be set to 0, and I'm going to collect as much as I can before it runs into the neighbour's tree in about an hour and a half's time. So okay, so I finished my imaging session for tonight, and I managed to get 14 5-minute subs. A few of them had star trailing towards the end, and I realised I'd run into the tree earlier than expected. So I'll just quickly show you. So after about an hour, you can see the telescope is very low here. After about an hour, I ran into the neighbour's tree there. So yeah, had about an hour's gap between the house and the tree, but now I think my imaging on the Eagle Nebula is definitely finished for tonight. So I'm going to slew over to another target, possibly the Tulip Nebula, which I'll bring you in a different video, which should be up nice and high in Cygnus. Yeah, call it quits on the Eagle Nebula tonight. Okay, so over the course of 6 nights, I managed to capture about 4.5 hours worth of data, and I'm really pleased with how this image has turned out. So I just wanted to quickly show you one thing that I did in PixInsight, which I've never tried before. So this was the data, and it was looking quite good. This is the HA. Stars look nice and sharp, loads of detail in that, so I was really happy with the HA. The O3 and the S2, again, a lot of detail in it. So this is the S2, this is the O3 here. So yeah, really pleased with it, but the stars were a little bit bloated for my liking. So I was having a bit of issues. I think it's just shooting through so much atmosphere. They were a lot more bloated than I was used to, and it just doesn't look quite as sharp as I'd hoped. So I edited the image anyway, and I was pretty pleased with it. But I just thought I'd try one thing, and what I did was, before actually combining them using the LRGB combination tool, I ran star reduction on the stacks. So I ran star reduction on the HA, the O3 and the S2 stacks, and I was really pleased with the results. I'd never tried this before. It's probably not the correct thing to do. There's probably a reason why no one does it. But this is just a side-by-side of the O3 with star reduction, and then the O3 without. So on the right is star reduction, and on the left is without the star reduction. And this seemed to work really well. So I edited them exactly the same, and I preferred it with the star reduction before the LRGB combination. So I might play around with that in the future. Let me know if there's a reason why people don't do it. But the stars just look a lot nicer in the stacks when I apply star reduction to them, and I think it worked
quite well. But anyway, I think I'm waffling a bit now, so I will put up the images on screen now. This is the final edited image, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.